Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of World's Best Business Coaches. You know, as we get to travel the world, this week we go to Minneapolis, and Dave Ford's going to join me. Dave and his wife Tracy are amazing coaches. They do phenomenal things with their clients. And we'll learn how, why, and what they do. So, Dave, thanks for taking your time with us here this week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brad. Glad
You
to
know,
be here.
everyone comes to coaching in different ways. How did you come across coaching, and what was your background beforehand that led you to coaching?
Well, actually, we were clients first. My wife and I had started a business, and we were having some challenges in that business. And through that, ended up hiring a coach. And I found it was more fun for me, you know, with what I was learning and talking to the other business owners that were next to our location and helping them with their business than it was helping my wife with ours.
You know, every one of us gets there differently. I love a lot of stories of, you know, it was like the old Wilkinson saw, you know, I liked it so much I bought the company type thing, started coaching.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you've had a lot of fun coaching over the years. Are there any clients that come to mind as like, these are some of the most fun, these are the ones that I enjoyed working with a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's one I think of, and every once in a while he'll say, I must be your worst client. You must hate having me as a client. And the reason for it is he thinks he's like really high maintenance, but for me, he's really he really is I guess more aware of himself and the changes that he needs to have. I mean, there's been times where I've been coaching him on something. I remember one story. I was trying to get him to raise his prices, and he hadn't been doing it. And we had put together a price list and had everything all set up. And I was talking to him on the phone. I said, okay, so did you raise your prices? Nope, I didn't do it yet. Okay, so how much would it have been today? How much more money would you have made today if you raised your prices? And he thought for a second, and he came up with about $300. Like, okay, good. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the bank, and I want you to withdraw $300. Brand new $100 bills. Got to be $100 bills. And he's really good at, okay, yep, got it. And he's all listening and everything. And I said, okay, so you got three $100 bills. Tomorrow, if you haven't raised your prices, burn them. And he started swearing at me. He was on the phone and he's swearing at me up a storm. And I'm just sitting there, and suddenly he stops and he says, "You're smiling, aren't you?" I said, "Yep. Now I know you're listening, Mike. Now I know you're listening." That kind of stuff, being able to do that's, you know, he got as much out of that and about as much out of what he has to change as, you know, the enjoyment I get out of that. It's just awesome when you see these clients that they start to notice their change and talk about it, you know?
Yeah, look, but, you know, I've got a lot of testimonials here from clients of yours, some great video testimonials, a lot of written ones and stuff. They seem to love the way you guys do stuff, but one of the things they always mention is community and the way you build community amongst clients. Tell me, how do you do it? What, you know, give me some ideas as to why that's important for other business owners to get together and discuss what's going on in their business.
Well, one of the most important things for us is, you know, what's been a result of doing it. It wasn't part of our intention when we started it. But I look at our clients and as far as they now have this extended family that they're now a part of, this community, they started, you know, this thing they call meeting of the minds. They get together every other Monday night, you know, for dinner at a bar and a couple of drinks, and they started that on their own. And there's usually a dozen of our clients there doing this. So
right.
They now have other business owners to talk to and relate to, and they don't want to leave us because that's leaving part of the family, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's, you know, some of the results. I mean, the reason I started doing it, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something that you had done at one of the conferences about 7 years ago that you had talked about community. And I came back from conference and said, we need to do something. We need to figure that out and do something with community. And so what we thought, well, let's do volleyball. Let's get everybody together and play volleyball. So we told them what we were going to do. We set it up, and we had 2 people want to go. Nope, anything to do with it. So we decided, okay, we need to do something else, but we can't tell them what it is that we're going to do. So every year, because, we're in Minnesota, people get kind of antsy to get outdoors in the spring. So we typically do it in the spring, and we have a couple rules around it. It's got to be outdoors. It's got to be something that creates energy, something that is that's going to make you work, get the blood flowing, that kind of thing. And it typically has to involve either speed or heights, one of the two.
Right.
So we took our clients whitewater rafting. Now, when we took them, we just told them, okay, here's where you're going to meet. They get a couple emails, clues up ahead in weeks before, and they'll be asking us on coaching sessions. So what are we doing next week? Trying to find out what we're doing. And for the whitewater rafting, we just told them where to be and when to be, and they met at our office. And we had a big bus there, and loaded everybody up on the bus, closed the door of the bus, started driving, and said, okay, this is what we're doing. And they had no idea up to that point. Yeah. It was at that point we found out that 3 of the people on the bus couldn't swim. and they now had a 2-hour ride to the whitewater rafting, thinking about, I can't swim and you're going to put me in a raft on a river. And, the learnings they get out of that, one of the big things for them is, they'll talk about those learnings that they got for 2-3 years afterwards, because they we do some kind of event, and then for an hour or so afterwards, we'll talk about the learnings, how it relates to business. Yeah. We've done white rafting, we've done go-karts, we've done volleyball, we've done paintball, we've done ropes courses, we've done all kinds of different things.
Yeah, forget the learnings. It just sounds like fun to me. I mean,
it is. Yeah, I was surprised at how much fun paintball was. I was in the military, but I'd never done paintball before. Paintball was so much fun. 2 weeks later, a bunch of us went and did paintball again.
Yeah,
and it was a bunch of the clients just, I want to do that again. I want to be part of that.
One of the things, Dave, that it looks like when we do business coaching, obviously we have to coach the human being, but we also have to coach the business. You have to get the business results. But a lot of the time getting business results is about getting the people thinking right. You do a lot on the education side in the business. What are some of the things that you make sure your clients are doing so they get results? How do you make them get, because reading's not something every business owner wants to do.
Something they should be doing that they don't necessarily want to be doing. One of the first things is they got to look at the numbers. And I'll be honest, when I was first a coach, and I kept hearing, you got to have the numbers, you got to have the budgets, you got to have the break even and all that stuff. And yeah, okay, that sounds good, but there's a lot more fun stuff to do. It didn't take very long before you start losing clients because you're not paying attention to the numbers, before you figure out not only do you got to see the numbers, but you got to teach them the numbers. So all of our clients, first thing we're putting together, budgets, cash flow forecast, got to look at them every month. What's happening? What's going on? And then typically what we'll do, like at every growth club, we start our growth club with, we put our total numbers together year to date. So our clients have grown by, $2.5 million so far this year in revenue and $800,000 in net profit so far this year. And we put that up for growth club. So they all get to be excited about that because they're all part of that.
Yeah. I love seeing that sort of stuff and the reading that you get them doing. Now, you mentioned getting them together every quarter to plan their business. It's a very important part of what you do. Tell me, you get some of those sessions where you get clients together, you've had some really great breakthroughs with clients. They all come to annual conference and get breakthroughs. I guess the people and the personality side of what you do is also real important. You use a lot of the tools, like the evaluation tools for people.
Yep.
Give me a story of a client who actually, what's a client that loved that sort of stuff or that actually got breakthroughs from it?
Well, we actually had a few. I did something around DISC a couple of years ago at a growth club during a little educational piece where I just took the room up. I took the room and we had about 50 people in the room, and I split the room up and I said, okay, high D's go stand in this corner, high I's in that corner, S's over here, and C's you're back in that corner. And, I walked through that, and the interesting part is, we talked about the learnings of that, and there was a lot of them that really got a lot out of just seeing that, seeing the context of how differently those groups reacted. Because looked at it, I looked around the room, and there were the high C's, and the high C's were all leaned back against the wall, and they were all arms crossed, and they're glaring at me because I just told them to go stand in the corner, but I didn't tell them why, and I didn't tell them what we were doing next, and they were all irritated with me. The high S's had kind of formed a little semicircle. They were kind of circling the wagons. There wasn't enough of them to form a full circle. They were just trying to, we're going to stand here quietly. Don't pick on us. Don't call us out. And then the high I's were, I just said recess, because they were all on their phones and, listening to voicemails and texting, and it was a mess. And the high D's, interestingly enough, had formed an attack V with the highest D in front. And they were all leaning forward, like, okay, ready. What's the next instruction? We're gonna do.
How do we beat these other guys? Yeah, we got to beat these other teams. Yeah.
So their learnings that a bunch of the clients had was because they could look around the room and see the obvious differences in the behaviors just by the group standing there. It was awesome.
Yeah. Now, we use a lot of all this stuff, and you use it with clients every week. And it's amazing, when you see, I guess, Dave, you and I get so used to this, but when you bring in new clients and they meet the existing clients who've doubled and tripled profitability and done massive growth and stuff, there's like a gradient, I guess, of when those brand new clients come in. How do you get those brand new clients not to get too scared, I guess, of coaching? Because it can be a big thing to step into coaching.
Well, one of the first things that we started doing, we started a couple of years ago we started doing Action Club, just the educational pieces of it during a morning time so some of our one-to-one clients can get the education so they can learn some of that stuff, but more so they can bring some of their team members. Well, we get a new client, we plug them into there, and they start building those relationships with the current clients right away, the current one-to-one clients. So then the current one-to-one clients will, they'll talk to them, they'll get them all calmed down. We do Growth Club. We always make sure a new client is sitting at the table with a long-term client, and the long-term client's job is to help the new client.
Yeah.
So we start building those relationships with the clients right away. I mean, we signed up when we first put out the information for BEF in Orlando this year. Back in July when we sent it out to everybody, we had just signed a new client up 2 weeks before, and she's sitting there in the room at Growth Club. We're talking about it, and we had one of our Brenda, who won the CEO of the Year last year, was sitting next to her, and she's talking to Brenda about it. Brenda's like, "Yeah, you got to go." She's been a client for 2 weeks, and she's signing up for BEF.
Yeah. Look, I think that the relationships that some clients can build because they're with others is phenomenal. But I also want to go back to, if I read through all the testimonials from your clients, there's a couple of things they say about you, Dave, as to why you're a great coach. What do you think they are? Why do you think your clients think you're a great coach? Now, they're very blunt, by the way, your clients.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably one of the reasons why is you probably haven't heard this. I'll tell you a little story, and my clients have all heard the story a few times. I went through training in January of 2008. So that year conference was, I think it was in April. I think that year conference was in April. And that my first experience with, the whole Action Coach community and the conference thing, and really with you, was when John Lazell stood up to the mic and said, "I've been a coach for 5 years and I haven't booked gold once." And you said, "Okay, everybody get comfy. We're going to be here a while." And you proceeded to work John through his stuff. And I went, "Whew, okay, so standing up to the microphone is not a good thing. Bad things." And then, like the next day, you had, I think it was Brian Downbach was up on the microphone, and he was talking about vacation and something like that. Like he hadn't booked his vacation and his issues around that. And you said, "Right, so you know where you want to go and you know when you want to go." Yep, okay. Very good. We're going to go on break here in a few minutes. Jane, can you make sure that Brian has access to a laptop while we're gone? He's going to book his vacation. And I went, I saw that. I went, okay. never standing up at the microphone. That's just bad things happen. I'm not doing that. I'm avoiding that at all costs. Well, then a few months later, during our territory conference, we were at an improv place. They were teaching us how to be on stage. Now, mind you, I'd only been a coach for 8 or 9 months at that point, so I still sucked at everything that I did. And we're at this improv place. There's about 40 people there, and he's talking about, okay, who do you normally speak to? And we talked for a few minutes, figured out, well, when we're doing presentations, there's people that are eating out of the palm of our hand. We love what you're saying. Yeah, give us more of that. Give us more. That's great. That's awesome stuff. Want to hear more of that. Then there's the ones that are, okay, I really like what you have to say. Not sure how it applies to me, but it's really good stuff. And then there's the ones, you're just full of shit. Pure and simple. You don't know what you're talking about. So he said, okay, I need 2 volunteers. And 2 people raised their hand. And the first one that raised their hand came up, okay, you get to sit in the chair, because they had 6 chairs out on the stage. And when he said 2 volunteers, 5 improv actors came and sat in the chairs. So the first person raised their hand, you get to sit in the chair. So that next person, you're going to be our presenter. Here's what you're going to talk about. The audience loves what you have to say. They're eating out of the palm of your hand. Here's what you're going to talk about. Go. And so she turned and presented. I was making the mental note at that particular point with the number of people in the room and the time that we were going to be there is I was going to have to be up on stage at some point. And I didn't want to I was horrified of that idea. I didn't want to do that. So I was looking for a way around it. And I noticed the first person that raised their hand got to sit in the chair. So I waited the next time. One person raises their hand, immediately he calls them up, go sit in the chair. So I'm like, okay. Third one, I'm raising my hand so I get to sit in the chair and I get out of this thing. And so then he had to pick somebody to do the speaking. Okay, this group likes what you have to say. Not sure how it applies to them, but good stuff. Here's what you're going to talk about, go. Then he says, I need 2 volunteers. I raise my hand immediately. I'm there, I want to do this. And he's stepping towards me, as I know I'm going to sit in the chair. He's stepping towards me. And somebody, I don't know who it was, I wish I did now, but I don't know who it was at the time, stood up and said, okay, fine. And the guy literally pivoted in his chair where he was standing and turned and pointed at the other guys, come on, you come up, you sit in the chair, comes back to point to me again and says, okay, you come up on stage, you are the presenter. It was all I could do to keep from running out of the room at that point. So I get up on stage and he says, okay, here's your audience. Now, mind you, 5 of them are improv actors whose now job it is to argue with everything that I have to say. So he says, okay, here's your audience. They disagree with everything you have to say. They're going to argue with everything you have to say. Here's what you're going to talk about. Go. I literally bent over and put my hands on my knees and shit. I don't want to do this. I took a second. I composed myself. I took a breath. I stood up. I turned. I presented. I was awful, but I did it. I got done, and then everybody got to critique me. And I went and sat down next to Chris Carmen. And he looks at me, and he says, you're a brave dude. And I'm like, yeah, no. I wanted to sit in that chair. I want to kill that guy right now. I want to sit in that chair. And I thought for a second, but you know what? I need to do that again. And he looked at me, and he's like, what are you, nuts? I said, will it ever be that bad ever again? Nope. So that made me better. I need to do that again. So I came back from conference, and I told all my clients the stories. I was all excited about it without realizing the ramifications of telling them the story, because they had already heard the story about me in that first time that I was at conference. They said, oh, excellent. So when you go to conference in a couple of months, you're going to get up to the mic and talk to Brad, right? No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. So at that next conference, that next year, they were all calling me and texting me, have you got up and talked? Have you got up to the mic? Have you got up to the mic yet? And the first day I had spent the entire day finding all of the reasons why that wasn't the right time to go up to the microphone. And then the second day, before we went to a break, you did something you've only ever done at that time. Said, okay, write down the number one thing you want help with in your business. So we're going to go to break. Write down the number one thing you want help with in your challenge you have on a piece of paper. Hand it to me. We're going to go to break. I'm going to call half a dozen or a dozen people up to the mics and go through this. And as I'm writing mine down, it doesn't make a damn bit difference what I write here. Brad's calling me up. This is I haven't done it. This is what's getting me up there. So I don't remember what I wrote down. I do remember I was the second name that you called. All of my clients were, overjoyed at that fact. So they love the fact that I don't get to say no. I have to do things, and to verify that. When we had conference in New Orleans, a bunch of us before conference had went on a cruise. So it was like 20 of us that went on a cruise before a conference in New Orleans. They have karaoke on cruises?
No, I didn't.
I don't know what your thoughts on karaoke are, but mine are not good at all. I can't sing. I know I can't sing. I don't want to torture everybody else, so I don't need to get up there. Well, my clients know I can't say no. So I had to sing karaoke in front of 20 of our clients, all with their cell phones, taking pictures and recording. That was horrifying, but it makes me better.
Yeah.
So,
if I was to ask you for the 2 words that describe why your clients think you're a great coach, what do you think it is?
I would say fun, and I would say real.
Yeah, when I look at what your clients say, there's almost a level of brutal honesty in your coaching. And some of them think it's brutal and some of them just think it's honesty. So that's a great thing. You've been a part of the Action Coach system, both as a client and as a coach. What do you think it is about that system that gets the results we get with the business owners that are out there?
It's simple. All you have to do is follow it. It's simple. Here's what you do it.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
It's funny, that's really the only answer there is, but often people give me a lot longer answers to get to the point of saying, follow the system. I mean, with our clients, it's the same thing. If they follow the system, they'll get results. If they do the work, they'll get the results. With coaches, it's the same thing. So there's going to be some business owners watching this who are contemplating working with a coach. Maybe it's you, maybe it's another coach. What would your advice be to them? And also there's a second question. There's going to be some people watching this who are contemplating becoming a coach. What would your advice be to both groups?
I think to business owners that are thinking of wanting a coach, do I need a coach? Whenever I meet with people, there's always it's hard. It's not easy to take that step and, it costs this money and it costs this. Really, for me, the clients that we work with, what it boils down to is I don't want to get up tomorrow and have the same life, same day I had today. I want something to change. I want things to change both, in my business and life where I'm moving forward. I'm getting where I want to get. It's not, I'm not sleepwalking through the next 10 years.
Right.
I don't have to worry about whether I'm paying my bills or retirement or whatever it is. I want change, and it's not optional. For all of our clients, that's kind of the big key is they've gotten to a point where something has to change. I don't want to move. I don't want to go another day in this being where I'm at now. I don't want to do that. And, for people that are thinking for becoming coaches, for me, that's the best part about all this is you get to see the growth of your clients and what they go through and where they're at from one point to the next. And I look at it, you did your master class in Bali and we had several clients there. And I look at, where those clients were, 3 years ago, where they could just barely pay their bills and they're working 90 hours a week and they weren't happy. Life was miserable. And now they're spending a week in Bali, listening to you talk about, future growth and really creating something amazing with their life. And being able to help them to that point that's worth far more than whatever they pay you.
Yeah. Look, I think it's the one thing that makes a great business coach a great business coach. They love seeing people succeed. Mm-hmm. And we all know as business coaches, the more our clients succeed, the more we See, it's not a rocket science situation, but it gets deep inside when you see it in real life. People actually going from not being able to really pay their bills to now actually paying their bills in advance and investing money and doing that stuff. So I think it's great, but I get the benefit of seeing it from not only there, but from the clients, but of seeing all of the coaches do phenomenal things too. And, you know, all I can say is, Dave, we're super proud of what you do with your clients. The amazing results that you get are, you know, it takes a lot of work to get clients getting those level of results. And so we're very proud of what you're doing, and we want to congratulate you on achieving amazing results. And that makes you one of the world's best business coaches.
Thanks.